Yeah, so just what you can see just over my shoulder, we're at Highway 77 and Waverly Road. And approximately an hour ago, we had a collision involving two semi-trucks that occurred in this intersection. There was a westbound semi on Waverly Road that came into the intersection and was struck by a southbound semi that was on Highway 77. Based on our preliminary investigation, it appears that the westbound semi failed to yield to the southbound semi, and that's what caused the collision on Highway 77 that you can see behind me. The vehicles collided in the roadway, and one was overturned, and they both entered the southwest ditch. One of the drivers was ejected from a vehicle. The other one was able to be extricated on his own. They were both transported to local hospitals, one by Star Care, one by ground ambulance. And unfortunately, just about 2 p.m. this afternoon, one of the drivers was declared deceased at a local hospital.
You mentioned Star Care. Was it Star Care or LifeNet?
I was told Star Care, but I guess it may have been another provider, but it was by air ambulance.
Okay. You mentioned the driver going westbound on Waverly failed to yield. Do you know if there was a stop at the stop sign or if the semi blew through the stop sign entirely?
So the intersection is protected by stop signs for westbound and eastbound vehicles, and our preliminary investigation would suggest that the vehicle violated the stop sign. But in either case, it appears that it failed to yield to the southbound semi that was traveling on Highway 77. At least one of the vehicles was carrying a load of grain. We're not sure which vehicles had which load that was being carried with them, but the Nebraska State Patrol is also on scene investigating and assisting us with some of the commercial vehicle aspects of the investigation. And you can see our crash reconstruction team that's working behind me. Obviously, it's pretty warm conditions today. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the victim. We'll be in the process of notifying their next of kin, and we'll probably release some additional information about the driver tomorrow.
You mentioned the driver was ejected. Is there a certainty or is there a high suspicion that a seatbelt was not utilized?
Typically, in our investigations, that would be indicative of a seatbelt not being in use. So we'll certainly continue to look into that as the investigation unfolds. But at this time, it appears that a seatbelt was not used by that driver.
Was the westbound semi attempting to turn southbound on 77 or keep going west?
It appears that the westbound semi was just trying to go west across the intersection across Highway 77.
Gotcha. Do you think, we mentioned the yielding, not yielding here, was speed possibly a factor at all in the other semi, or is that part of the investigation still?
That's exactly why you can see the investigators working behind us, just to make sure that we're dotting all of our I's, crossing all of our T's, but we always consider speed, other vehicle factors whenever we're doing one of these reconstruction cases. But just a big thanks to the folks that responded to the scene initially, the first responders, to the investigators that are working behind me out here in the heat this afternoon, and ultimately all with the goal of just trying to determine what happened today.
Two semis colliding, there's obviously more rules and regulations for drivers that are driving semis. They have to have specific weight limits and whatnot. Is that part of the investigation to determine whether a semi was over the weight limit that it should have been, weight wasn't distributed properly? What's that look like?
Yeah, those are all great questions anytime that a commercial motor vehicle is involved, and we're fortunate to have great partnerships with the Nebraska State Patrol. They've supplied an investigator to us today to assist with this investigation, to inspect the vehicles and determine if there were any commercial motor vehicle regulations or laws that impacted today's crash.
There's a large number of sheriff's deputies out here today for this crash. Is that kind of typical for kind of crashes like this? I know the last time I remember something like this was the scene where the Soresco officer was killed, where we had such a large response, medical and law enforcement.
Yeah, this is a serious crash, and it's one that we obviously are spending a lot of resources to investigate. We can also work a little bit quicker when we have more hands that are available out here to help us process the scene. Our goal is to try and get the highway open back up. The scene itself is going to take quite a bit of cleanup. There's some fuel that's spilled and some cargo that's spilled, some grain and things like that behind me, along with at least one stop sign that I saw was down. So we're working on the investigation itself, but also working to try to get the roadway cleaned up so that we can get it back open for the afternoon commute.
When do you anticipate the roadway, at least northbound, being reopened?
It's probably still going to be another hour or two out here. As you can see, we still have some vehicles, tow trucks and things like that are coming to help us get cleaned up. There's at least one semi behind me you can see right over my shoulder that's been overturned, so that takes a little bit of extra time to try and get cleared, but we're going to work as fast as we can to try and get it opened up by the evening commute.
The driver that was ejected, was that the southbound semi or the westbound semi?
At this time, we believe that it was the westbound driver, but we're still working to verify all of those details.
Gotcha. Do you have anything else that I'm not thinking about asking that people should know? I think there was that CPR was started on scene. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, there was CPR that was performed on the most seriously injured driver here at the scene, and just a huge thanks to our first responder partners. Raymond Fire and Rescue came out. We also had Lincoln Fire and Rescue along with air ambulance support, and deputies were also involved in those life-saving efforts. Unfortunately, we did have a fatality at this scene today. We never want to see that, but the other driver was able to walk away from their vehicle and being treated at a local hospital with what appear to be minor injuries, and we credit that to the seatbelt that was in use in another vehicle.
In terms of the detours for people, I know Highway 77 is a major highway here in this area of Nebraska. For people that are trying to get northbound or southbound on Highway 77, do you have a way for people to kind of go? What's that detour look like? And obviously, people should be patient, right?
Yeah, just patience is what we're asking from the motoring public right now. Again, we're prior to the afternoon commute, so traffic load's helping us out. The dump is still open as far as the landfill, so people can access that if they need. There are some local detours with barricades with the Department of Transportation. They've been great helping us out with barricades. Nebraska State Patrol's here helping us as well. But other options as far as getting north from here, North 14th Street, Highway 79 would be major county and state highways that can get around here. But we're going to try and get this open back up relatively quickly if we can.
And if you're driving on those gravel roads, do you have any tips for people that may not drive on them a lot? Just driving for me, it was really dusty, kind of hard seeing some of the other vehicles going down some of those hills and pretty quickly.
Yeah, we've got dry, dusty summer roads out here today, so a lot of dust getting kicked up. Watch your speed, wear your seatbelt. Those are good tips for anybody, no matter what type of road service that you're driving on. But especially if you're not familiar with the area, just take it easy. We'll have Highway 77 opened up here hopefully before too long, but we appreciate everybody's patience in the meantime.
All right, thanks, Captain.
Yeah, thank you.